Hi, my name is Kathy Sabeda. I'm a mortgage planner and proud veteran, and we are providing an educational series in regards to estate planning. I have my outstanding realtor here, Thomas Humphrey, and he's going to introduce our wonderful estate planner.
Hi, welcome. My name is Thomas Humphrey, eXp Realty. I wanted to introduce you to Loanne Schillinger from Schillinger Law. Loanne has been serving San Diego since 2000 and is an expert in trust and estate planning. Welcome, Loanne.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And the purpose of this video right now has to do with, you really cannot afford not to get an estate planning because she's going to go over probate.
Okay, so one of the biggest reasons why we get an estate plan is to avoid probate. You do not want to end up in court for several reasons. One big one is, do you want a judge to decide where your assets will go? Two, it's super expensive. Starting price is about 14 grand, $14,000 for a probate matter. And then the other thing is it takes time. So instead of being able to celebrate someone's life, instead of being able to find closure, you're stuck in the court system for about a minimum of a year and a half. So that's minimum. And then you're stuck with people like me, and which will guide you. You're in good hands if you end up there, but we really advise you that it is avoidable by just putting together an estate plan.
Mm-hmm. And then and probate happens because let's say we have a family member and one of the parties pass, whether they're married or not married. How does that work? Okay,
so there are actually, probate is pretty complex in the aspect of it may be because you pass away without a will or a trust, or you are incapacitated and you do not have a power of attorney or advanced healthcare directive in place. Let's say you're incapacitated, you're in the world of probate in the aspect of a conservatorship or a guardianship. Here in California, it's a conservatorship if you're an adult, and a guardianship if you're younger. And then you're also in the world of probate, like I said, if you do not have an estate plan in place. Or the last thing is you do have an estate plan in place and someone is challenging that document, and that's the litigation side.
And so when we're dealing with probate, and where you had mentioned it could take a minimum of 12 months to maybe a year and a half, and that's minimum based, especially now with the way the court systems are behind, what does the family do? Because now, like you said, we're not mourning or celebrating their life. What happens to the assets? Who actually takes care of them if no one is assigned to it?
Well, during that time, everything freezes. Bank accounts will freeze, everything will freeze, because we live in a litigious world. And so institutions will not move forward without knowing who has the legal ability to represent the estate. And so as soon as someone passes away, when we file for probate, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get in front of a judge to get a temporary or get someone appointed. At that point, once they're appointed, we walk down the road of administrating someone's estate through probate. So that's what takes time. You can get on board, have somebody assigned within, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks. But after that is what takes the most time, and that's discovering what accounts they have, if they're life insurance policies, etc. So that's the issue that we run into, is that because you pass away without an estate plan, without things neatly in place for somebody else to just move forward on your behalf, we essentially have to recreate you. We recreate you by looking at your mail. We recreate you by looking at your bank statements to see if there's automatic payments, etc. And so that takes time. And then we have to do an accounting, find the beneficiaries, the heirs to your estate, and then do distribution.
And then obviously, if they own property, then what could potentially happen to the family members who are living there?
So if they own property, it will be sold. In the aspect of, because what we need to do is we need to liquidate the estate then to give distribution. And so it may end up that that family member that you speak of will be displaced. But again, we try not to be so painful in that aspect. We're going to walk through that with you with a realtor, Tom, and we will, walk through that process with regard to how to sell a house in the probate world.
Because then at the end, they're not allowed to, so if one of the family members wanted to purchase it, then that is part of the probate process, right? Because that has to be, someone has to identify that. Or
Yeah.
do they just place the property based on the probate?
So the property is part of the estate. And so because the estate is in the world of probate and under the jurisdiction of probate court, it does need to follow the formalities with regard to that. So there would not be a side offer and purchase, etc., that would have to occur. It needs to be before the court. It also needs to be, listed, etc. So again, that's what's the inconvenience with regard to it, is if you already had it designated, or if you had your property in trust, then it would allow somebody to sell the property without court involvement, etc.
So when they file for probate, can they also at that time say, hey, I want to purchase the property when they file for probate, or how does that work?
So when someone files for probate, and if there's somebody that's interested in purchasing it, definitely want to keep that person in mind, but it still has to be listed. It has to, has to be evidence of finding the highest bidder, because the court's most important, they find it very important to make sure that there's the most amount of money goes into the estate. And so in that aspect, we wouldn't take the first offer. Let's put it that way.
Okay, all right. And then Tom, as a realtor, they have to go through a different type of paperwork, because you have to put in probate, and then once that it gets stamped by the courts, then the realtor can then list the property, and then that's part of the disclosures that they use, right? So at the end, it all boils down to that you really can't afford not to have an estate plan, especially if you can't celebrate, right, your life one who's no longer with us, right? Anything else anybody would like to state?
Yeah, I wanted to, Luann, I wanted to maybe reiterate how expensive it is not to have a trust. What are the costs involved if somebody does not have a trust?
So when you're going down the route of probate, the fees are statutory, and it's a percentage of the base of based on the size of your estate. And so the average starting in San Diego, let's put it that way, would be about 14,000 plus. And like I said, so it's super expensive versus just taking the time and having an attorney draft the documents for you. Because on the other side, if you don't, you're in court for quite some time. It's not you're in court, your family and your loved ones are in court, and they're not able to, as Kathy said, they're not able to celebrate your life and wrap things up. They have to deal with the exterior, the law. And then also the cost behind it, as you said, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? So all you got to do is you need to give her a call just to get your questions answered. Schedule some time, because at the end we are really, I love the way she mentions it. She goes, empowering others to speak on your behalf. What's your phone number that you reach you at?
Reach me at 619-576-5719. Or
Great.
my website. You can contact me through the website, www.schillingerlaw.com.
Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.